Hello, my name is Anusha Alles. I am a staff organizer at Direct Action for Rights and Equality. I organize with the Behind the Walls Committee, and this is the group of people who drafted this bill. So we drafted this bill because our community is so heavily affected by probation. And as Senator Mack said, we have one of the worst systems in the country. And Dick spoke to this earlier and said that because we have low rates of incarceration, we should consider our system generous or lenient, but actually the way that probation functions in Rhode Island is as a ongoing cycle that traps people. And one of the ways in which it traps people is by so easily allowing people to be reincarcerated that people end up taking plea deal after plea deal after plea deal. And some of our other members are going to speak to that today, of having gone through that, being forced into plea deal because they could not afford to go to prison for those 10 days or longer waiting for a violation hearing. So I just want to point that out, that sometimes we consider ourselves a progressive state in that our rates of incarceration are low, but the way that probation functions is actually an ongoing trap that keeps people chained to the system. Our members, many of our members are on probation, my loved ones are on probation, my partner is on probation, so I'm speaking today not only as a representative of DARE, but also as somebody who has many loved people, many loved ones who are impacted by this, and with somebody who lives with the knowledge that these people can be snatched up at any point for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And respectfully, Senator Archambault, I know people who have been arrested and locked up for not having done anything, for being considered guilty without having had a chance to be heard. And that is exactly how our probation system functions. Under Rhode Island's current practices, once the cuffs are on you, if you're on probation, you are most likely going to be taken to the ACI for at least 10 days before you even get a violation hearing. So I just want to emphasize, it doesn't matter how small the charge is, it doesn't matter if there's no evidence at all for the charge, it doesn't matter if they don't even end up bringing the charges against you. And those 10 days can stretch on for months, especially now that the courts are being backed up with COVID spikes. So last month, one of our members, I watched this happen in court, one of our members, Jose, was arrested. He was arrested on a falsified police report of a domestic disturbance. The person who filed the police report attempted to undo the damage, but it was too late. He was already in the system. He was brought to court along with the other probationers, and we watched as the judge sat there and denied bail over and over and over again to every single person who came up. He wasn't even looking people in the face. It was a completely dehumanizing experience for the people going through that. And he had the words coming out of his mouth to deny Jose bail, and Jose interrupted him and said, "Can I speak?" And he convinced the judge to grant him bail by forcing him to listen to the details of his life and what had occurred. And because the judge was forced to listen, was sort of jerked out of that sort of stupor of denying bail after bail after bail, he did grant Jose bail, and because of that, Jose was able to get the charges dismissed. He's now out on the streets, back at work, living his life, trying to go through the process of rehabilitation like so many other people we know. Everybody deserves that chance to be heard and to present that evidence and to be treated as a human being instead of thrown into a cage without a second thought. And that's what happens under our probation system. And I also want to say that, yeah, people on probation have records. That doesn't mean that they should be assumed guilty. Like you said, Senator Archambault, the standard of evidence is incredibly low, unfairly low. It's very unjust. And it's dehumanizing to treat people as though they are already guilty. Every single one of us is capable of change. That's the point of probation. It's a period during which people are working really hard to turn their lives around, and I see people doing that every day. David, I don't know where he went, but David is not an exception. David's not an exception. Like we have countless people coming through our organization every day, and honestly, it feels very unfair to characterize David as an exception when I know so many people who are working so hard to turn their lives around. And I also want to echo again what Ray said about the fear-mongering, this idea that we can hold out somebody's name or pull out an example of somebody who committed multiple offenses, and then the idea that this is evidence that now we should be sort of having a blanket statement around anybody who is charged with a crime of violence.
And your 4 minutes is up. Thank you.
Can I wrap that up, please?
I'm sorry?
Could I just wrap up what I'm saying?
Your 4 minutes is done at this time. Yes, Senator Archambault.
Yeah, thank you for your testimony. Very articulate. You're passionate about it. I get it. I agree the system needs to be revamped. Don't look at me as the guy who's over here defending the system, because all of my words have been contrary to that. I'm focused on one aspect, and my question to you is, what about new offenders who commit violent crimes?
I think those people still deserve a chance to be heard. You should not be considered guilty before you're proven innocent.
Let me finish that. We're not talking about a chance to be heard. You're going to get a chance to be heard. There's due process inherent in the way it is now.
But is it due process to have somebody?
Excuse me, you don't,
Let me finish my question.
you have to wait till you're allowed to speak.
You get a lot
Yes,
of fire.
Senator Archambault.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You get a lot of fire in the belly. That's a good thing. I respect that greatly. You're very articulate. He is an exception to the rule, by the way. I'm going to double down on that. He should be proud of the fact that he is, because not many people make it that far. But when it comes to violent crimes, there's due process in the system when you get notice, you're in court, and then you get an opportunity to be heard. That's fundamental due process under the 14th Amendment Due Process Clause and the 5th Amendment. Notice and opportunity to be heard. And the question isn't about whether you're going to get your due process. It's whether you're going to be held pending that hearing, 10 days, 14 days. Technical stuff, no. Give the person a chance. That's a way to help revise the system in the short run. It needs a better fix than just this bill. Even if this bill were to pass like it is, it's not going to fix the system. The system needs a better fix for the reasons you articulated extremely well. You really did. But beyond that, it's the violent crimes. It's new violent crimes. Not somebody who had a violent past and commits a minor offense. That person shouldn't be held accountable for the violent past necessarily. You look at the current crime. And in my practice and experience, that is what you see. I asked you about violent crimes. Simple
Could
question.
I respond to that?
Yeah, a simple question. They
So-
commit a new violent crime?
Point of order, point of order. I mean, just point of order. The way this committee works, respectfully, is we get to speak, and if there's a question posed to a witness, the witness can answer the question, and everything should go through the chair.
Thank you.
So you have to wait. Thank you, Senator Lombardi. You have to just wait for me to finish. So my question to you is, if there's a violent crime that's committed, a new violent crime that's committed, do you feel that the person should likely be held pending an outcome of whether or not they committed it?
Now you may answer.
So what I would say is that, first of all, if the person has committed a violent crime, they can be held without bail on the charge. Not that you don't need to wait for them to be held without bail on the violation. Second of all, the bail can be set as high as the judge thinks it needs to be set. If somebody has committed a crime of violence and that the judge considers that person a risk given their record, the number of times they've been cycling in and out of the courthouse, the judge can set the bail prohibitively high. That is an option. But I think at the end of the day, nobody should be sitting in jail during this time period waiting to simply be heard when they may be cleared of it. And that does happen frequently, that people are cleared of it.
Ken, let me just finish it with this.
And now they've lost this time. They're never going to get that time back.
I won't. Let me just finish.
They're not going to get that time back with their children.
Thanks.
They're not going to
Thanks.
get their housing back.
Let me stop you. I'm going to end it with this. I think I get what you're saying, but you missed it. I know that they can hold without bail on a new violent crime. I was talking about on the violation itself. If the violation is there and there's a propensity for violence and there's a new violent crime, the judge should be able to hold the person. Under this bill, you can't do it. It's crystal clear. You could just have gotten out of law school and you'd be able to see that. You're not hearing me. Anyways, thank you for your test. I do appreciate it. Very passionate.
Thank you.